So what I was saying is that we're spending too much time discussing relationships, any nuances about relationships. This person should have this metric, this requirement, quote unquote female description. We're saying all this things about relationship, but we're not spending time actually being in a relationship. And we're losing out the time it takes for us to develop ourselves, to evolve as people, to get therapy, to get healing. If you're choosing the wrong guys, there's a function of not having a self-love and that self-worth that you should have when it comes to relationships and choosing the right partner for yourself. So sometimes we got to take a step back and stop discussing these toxic topics, and actually try to be the person that you want to date for yourself. And yeah, it's all fun and games. It's, we share, we always having these topics, in our group, but
hi everybody. Hey.
Oh yeah.
Hi
Hey,
everybody.
hey,
Welcome to the
sorry.
Financial Griot.
Sorry,
where
I'm so
I think the last
sorry.
couple times, Atlanta has been giving us a lot of heat.
Oh my God, sorry, my bad.
It's a lot of stuff going on in the society, and we like to talk about it. Fortunately, sometimes we talk about not just the financial stuff, but the stories that we share about relationship, interpersonal relationship with other people, or even just doing the deep work within ourselves to figure out the type of person we're going to be. And in this conversation, one thing that triggered our co-host there was, I guess, a conversation at Clubhouse about, I guess this topic is here. Let me see the names. Like, your mom didn't ask your dad to have 6 figures, so what's your problem? And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a very positive room. And I'm pretty sure it's just not positive right now. So ultimately, my name is Lawrence Gonzalez, and I love to talk about money, otherwise known as the Neighborhood Finance Guys. Also joined by who?
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Atlanta, aka Atlanta, and I'm here. Welcome to another episode of TFG.
Thank you so much. It's lovely. I'm excited for this episode. We did come in very hot, but I guess we'll warm it up for you and hope that you enjoy every single bit of it, because it's about to be a fun ride.
I honestly forgot, like when you said intro, I'm like, oh, we're still recording. I'm just
like, we still
it honestly just slipped my mind. I just went right in.
That's fine. It's kind of a
cool,
it's like one of those cold openings. Like, it's a cold open. You're like, yo, this guy get really weird out here. It's like, yeah, unfortunately on social media and all around, not even social media, I think it's happening in our real life, that people are giving relationship advice. And it actually irks me, because sometimes they give marriage advice, but they're not even married. Like, or they've been divorced a couple of times, and then they try to badmouth marriages. I'm like, the reason why you got divorced, maybe because you need to do the work first, right? You need to actually fix yourself. It's not like the divorce happened like out of nothingness. Like, it happens maybe because, you're a little bit toxic yourself. You might want to take a step back. So you hear the people that are single, talk about relationship, what they need or they want from somebody else, where they haven't been in a relationship the last 5 years, the last 3 years, the last 2 years, who knows if they even ever had a relationship, period. Some people are saying that, at least now I'm hearing from a lot of women, they're saying, well, I'm what's it called when they say they're not necessarily, they're going cold turkey on men. It's like they're not considering relationship at all. I'm like, maybe because nobody wants you. I'm just saying, like you kind of have a far left.
I think most women are acknowledging and taking accountability and trying to find healing, but they're publicly
there's some ladies.
I think there's some ladies that
said there's some ladies that are.
Well, I'm on the positive side of it, Lawrence.
Yeah. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying there's some ladies out there.
No, I'm just saying in general, there is a side that's acknowledging accountability and want to find that healing for themselves.
And there's another side that's very toxic that says that they don't even need a man. They don't. Okay. They basically taking themselves out the dating pool. Right. As if guys were actually checking for them. I'm like, I looked at your profile, I'm checking for you though. I don't have no friends for you. And then your attitude is so nasty. Like, it's not cool. So ultimately, some people are saying very much hurtful things to other people. And some people are like, not everybody is cut out for relationships. I don't think we give that much credence either. Some people just, this is not what they want. This is not, if you want to be a single person all your life, you want to live the life, you want to always, kind of quote unquote, be free, then that's you. You don't have to badmouth, marriage or relationship. That's just the style that you live in. marriage is a framework that was constructed by society at some point because they thought it was cool that somebody, two people to get together and have a home. 9 times out of 10 is because the guys were the physical brawler to protect the women. That was like the first thing that happened. Then it kind of shifted towards like who's actually to do the manual labor. So the guys were going out into the field to go hunt, and women were staying closer to the home. They did more like the farming and stuff like that. And the guys came back. 9 times out of 10, the guys died. Some guys didn't kind of make it back. It is what it is. So the ladies stayed at the place, stayed at the home or the community, and they took care of everything else. So in equal right, women have always been powerful. Guys have always been powerful in their own right. And together we created something that was a little bit better, and that's the family unit. And I think that's where people are missing out on, and they can't even evolve the concept of man and women into what it is supposed to be today. Like, yes, women, sometimes they work. I don't expect a woman to just be at home cooking and cleaning, because if she's at work, how can she do both? It doesn't make any sense. And how can she do that after she stopped working? Just like you're tired, she might be tired too. That's just the only rational mind. That's a logical, rational mind. And you don't, and if she doesn't cook, what's stopping you from learning how to cook? Because the first person that cooked, then if I remember historically, was men knew how to cook before women. They literally cooked the meat. They knew how to cook. Like the Hawaiian society, the men actually cooked way more food than the women ever cooked. There are societies where the guys are better cooks than women, period. So there is no such thing as one type of like gender has the full on autonomy for some act of service or something. And that's my rant a little bit.
I think we're always trying to up on each other in terms of gender, like who is financially doing better, then they should have the most leverage, right, in terms of what they're looking for, their requirements. But it becomes so far left just to actually devalue women who are having kids, the relationship didn't work out, or a spouse may have suddenly passed away, and to say that you're lesser than, you're no longer valued in society. And it's becoming such a tone of how Black women are being perceived as and being seen as. And now we're so focused on this idea of having this perfect partner and not realizing collectively we're stronger. Right. And you mentioned about, the historical context of marriage and institution of marriage as well. But as Black Americans or Haitian American or any African diaspora that you're from, keep in mind here in the US, it was illegal to get married. Most places you had to get married on your plantation, it wasn't recognized by the state. It wasn't a law. Right. So we need to kind of get back to inherently looking into what it took for us to build our community, what it took for us to stay together, and how can we grow from being together. Women were ripped apart from their babies, their children. Husbands were actually have to watch or have to see that their masters pulling away their wives to sleep with them or to rape them. These are inherently like this historical context that we're missing out to realize we have been through it together. There's no you have more money, I have more money, and it's like I have more leverage. I'm so tired of it. I am literally exhausted from all these videos and people having these opinions. Together we're stronger. Together, placing our resources, we will build nations. We can do a lot of things collectively without having to put down the other person. And as women and men, to say that we're equal, it's not necessarily equality, it's more of equity. That's how I look at it, being a woman, is I can build equity with you as a woman. The equality that we have is I don't think it's this existing thing that we talk about, because men can't have children. It's literally physically impossible, right? But the equity that we build together grows over time, and the right decision that we make remaining together in a happy home, a loving home, we can build this community that we always wanted. And that's what I strive for with my partner or whoever, is noticing and identifying that I'm not perfect. You may not be perfect, but together we'll get through whatever, is to have that sustained vision that we want for our family. And going back and forth, like honestly, in real talk, 100, we can't afford to. That's real talk. We can't afford to be single out here. Like Palm Beach County in Florida, minimum 2-bedroom, 2-house out here is $300,000. Home, probably a condo. We cannot afford to be single. And that's really where it's at. Like there's no there is no advantage at this point of being single. You will be financially, economically tapped out, and it's a serious thing. Stop talking about these relationships and these metrics and this toxicity when you're not even in a relationship. Build yourself first. Be the person that you want to date, the person that you want to marry, and go from there. That's how I land. I'm not gonna go on too much of a rant.
Yeah, lovely out here is pure shock. You can go ahead. Like, go ahead. Take this. Or do you need a moment to process? Do you need a moment to process?
That was a lot. That was a lot.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna say this.
Let you take this one, LG.
Okay, I'm gonna say this as a man, right? You know, it's from that perspective, especially to other men out there. Like, we can't do it alone either. You know, I think a lot of times when we hear the statement that we can't do it alone for women, it only seems to mirror just their, you know, a woman's perspective. But in truth, it's the same as guys. We can't do it together. We can't do it apart. I mean, like last weekend, my wife was down south to enjoy her time with her best friend and kind of like, you know, seeing her sister and everything like that. And I was out here, you know, I was eating snacks all day, like it's just stuff in my face. Like, I'm like, man, can I? And I thought to myself at the end of the weekend, I was like, man, I felt disgusting. I felt lethargical. I felt like I snacked way too damn much. And I thought to myself, like, wow, this would never happen if my wife was here. Like, that's for sure. I'd be eating a lot better, or somebody would hold me accountable to my attitude, my behavior.
Yeah.
Ultimately, guys, 9 times out of 10, and a lot of people do, we reach towards comfort. And having somebody around you, having somebody that's with you in the process to hold you accountable actually helps. It heals you. It gives you better perspective. It gives you better drive, better vision, better goals. It ultimately positions you in the right frame of mind every morning to say, you know what, I have somebody that I want to work for. I want to work towards for, not just for myself, but beyond myself. I want to service. I want to give to. I want to ensure that they're safe. I want to ensure that they're fine. People that have kids, they're like, I want to make sure my kids are aware, taken care of. All of this is very important information that guys need to process, and they also have to hear. And how do you hear that? By being in the home. That's how you, by being in your position, in your role, in your space. Because there's some times as well that I'm at a weak point. Not all the times I'm actually like gun-ho and super confident. Sometimes I'm really kind of, you know, into my own mental mind, and I have to kind of share with my wife, and I have to go beyond myself and say, hey, I need to say, hey, I don't feel so good today. I don't feel like this today. I don't feel whatever it is. And I need somebody to bounce that off of. And sometimes you need to hear it from somebody else that it's going to be okay, that you're okay, that you're fine, that you're loved, that you're supported. And that's why we cannot do this alone. There's no way. Obviously you don't need to be in a full-on relationship. So I'm never trying to position and frame it that you got to be in a relationship to have this, you know, level of, you know, community around you. You could literally be like down the street from like 5 other friends. Somebody needs to reach out to you. Somebody needs to have one-on-one eye contact. As human beings, we need to see each other. We need to hear each other. We need to hear perspective. We need to hear change. We need to be challenged sometime because maybe we're not actually pushing ourselves. Ultimately, it's not just something inside the, you know, like, hey, between a man and a woman, or man and man, and so on and so forth. That's not what I'm saying. Like, you need to have somebody beyond yourself that looks out for you, that completes and helps you heal and move on with this very hard world, especially in this day and age where we're all indoors one too many times. We've been inside for a very long time because of the, you know, the pandemic. It is what it is. And in some ways, a lot of people are depressed. A lot of people are feeling anxiety. A lot of people are angry. Some people don't even know how to communicate anymore with other people because they've been inside for so long. Or they've been having the same conversation with, you know, maybe the person inside the home as well. You need more than just yourself. So as a man, it's I would say it's imperative for you to figure out what that community means for yourself in order for you to start defining what that relationship is going to mean for you moving forward.
Amen.
I couldn't say it any better. If this is one episode, I'm just like, yep, that sounds good to me, meaningful to me. It's definitely good. I think something that Lawrence just mentioned and I think was really powerful is what I heard in that was vulnerability. That you have to be vulnerable to be okay, that you need a hug, you need presence, you need human beings. And I think there's something in us sometimes where our ego is like, no, I'm fine. I don't need nobody. I'm cutting off this season, not realizing that if you cut off everybody, what's life? We're here to experience each other. And I think it's so good. Like, I just love hugs. I love being around people when I can. And it just gives you a light. And when I think about even why, shameless plug here, it's a very shameless plug, why we're having the Entrepreneurship Playbook live and having entrepreneurs be in a room together, it's because people are trying to build these things in silos and just think, I just need to go viral, I need to go doing these things. And you might have something meaningful for the market, but your connector, the person that you might need, is going to be in that room. And we're so often just trying to build up things by ourselves that it doesn't work. And it's interestingly enough, I've been talking to Elena and Lawrence about this idea for so long. We've had conversations. We're like, okay, like they're probably like, Lovely's never doing this in 2022. Lovely is surely doing it. Because I want to see people in a room and get aha moments and literally unlock growth for themselves. And you might walk out the event realizing, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. That's what I actually have a whole other purpose that I want to serve. And that's totally fine too. But I want people to be in those rooms because I think there's so much power in community and connection. We hear these words, we don't know the value of them. But before you can even want to be in the room, you need to be vulnerable enough within yourself to say, hey, I think I need people. I need to see faces. I need to be around different type of positive energy and people so that I can propel into my next thing. So good. This was so good. This was like chicken noodle for the soul.
So much for the soul. I had to express that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that people understand. Stop listening to people that aren't in relationships to get your advice from. It's the most asinine thing you can do in life. It's the most counterproductive, upside down. It's like the person, I'm like, I just want to ask the people, like the first time they start talking about relationships, like what they want or what they expect from a relationship. The first time I'm like, yo, so are you in a relationship? When's the last time you've been in a relationship? Like, I really want to keep asking that question. Like, why are you such an expert now? Like, as if you've been dating women the last couple of years or something like that. Like, you're not, bro. And how did it end? What did you learn from it? Like things like that you want to ask, not just from the men, but also the women. Like, come on. Like, what did you do here? Did you learn? Was it you? Was it them? Because I'm not in a relationship. You could be honest here. Open up. Like, was it your attitude that was kind of salty and they said something about your attitude being kind of crazy? Or were you always in these violent confrontations? I've never dated anybody that was ever in any level of confrontation with. I've often gotten like these statements like, hey, oh, you don't fight with me. I'm like, why would I want to? Why would that be a thing? Like, and then there's one girl, like, I swear to you, like, I think we broke up because she felt that we needed to do this. Like, we needed to fight and she wanted the trauma. I'm like, I don't give or dish trauma to anybody. That's not how I do this. I deal with it myself if I need to. And then, I come to you empty every time because I don't want to carry forward other people's issues into the next conversation and next conversation. It's not just relationships, but it's also issues that we have with other people that we carry into the conversation with somebody else. Let's stop that. Like, if you haven't been in a relationship in a very long time, maybe you just need to sit back. Maybe you just need to do some self-work, some self-healing, some self-thing. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to even give an opinion. Please don't. If you've never been married, just don't do it. Just don't
please
do it.
don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Keep it to yourself. Unsolicited
just
advice.
don't do it. Hey, just say, hey, I watched this, TV show that one time. Say that, but don't say that because you don't know. Because marriage is actually very simple. It's very easy. Love is actually easier than a lot of people make it out to be. Love is not confrontational. Love is one of those like immutable points in life. It's just like, if you're in love and you love a person, even if you stop dating them, you still love them because that's what love is. It has no hate. It doesn't imply hate. It's just love. Love is based level, good time, you're good. If you end up breaking up with somebody, that's cool. And then you start hating them, then you were never really in love. Like you never loved them for the person that they were. Because a lot of people I've met in the past and people I just run into all the time, I love them as people. I've learned that, and because I love myself as a person too. And I think a lot of people don't even love themselves. They dishing out information. They're trying to get in a relationship. They're almost like they're muscling their way in to love. They're like, love's gonna let me in at this point because I'm this and that. I'm qualified. I'm educated. I have a job. I'm like, that love doesn't give a shit. It just doesn't care. Like it's just gonna look at you as like, are you happy anyways? And everything that you say that comes out your mouth when you are kind of a healed person is more positive, more constructive. It has more, purpose and meaning. But when you're unhealed, you seek confrontation. You literally seek it. Subconsciously, you do it. You lash out at anybody else because you're trying to like impact them in a certain way, whatever it is. You want them to be angry. You want them to be as mad as you are. But in truth, the balanced heart is a person that actually finds love easily. That's why every time we turn around, Atlanta is in another relationship, and I'm like, how? But that's why, guys. That is why. These are the secrets. These are the secrets. You just learned it. Be healed. Be healed. Because I thought she found a relationship. The guy just took her to a comedy show, and he said, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend? She's like, why not? Let's do this. And I pass on the mic.
You guys are funny. Every time.
You have any rebuttals? What you got going on?
No, that's absolutely accurate. A balanced heart, you find a love that you're searching for, or a love that's help you to heal. Sometimes a love is not, always forever, or it's maybe seasonal. Sometimes you have to experience something to kind of know that this is what's meant for you to kind of grow and evolve, right? And I come to acceptance, something just does not work out. Every relationship is not going to lead to marriage, right? But you do try your best to be the best person you can be for that person and for essentially yourself. But it does start off with self-love. I'm all about promoting self-love and treating yourself the best, so someone else come in, they know how to treat you and your value. So yeah, I do agree. Find your value.
And
definitely find yourself. Go ahead, lovely. Go ahead in these streets.
Oh no, I feel
Take us away. Take us away. How did you learn? Okay, I guess the question would be to you. How did you learn to love yourself and in the space that you're in?
Oh man. Oh, well, I had gone through a breakup that was really bad, but it wasn't bad because we ended up on bad terms. But I had realized like how much of me was in that relationship. And I never wanted to ever be in a position where someone leaving or us not working out would put me in such a place of devastation. Like, I know that it's okay to feel heartbreak, but I just felt like it hit me too hard in a weird way. And I was like, well, I don't think this is right. I think something's wrong with the way I approach this relationship thing. And so that's where I started the quest of self-discovery. And I had asked myself, because there's one thing he said to me, I'm pretty sure you probably listened to this, but whatever. So the one thing that
he out there, he's a listener. He out here leaving us reviews.
He listened.
He subscribed.
Hey, make sure he subscribe on these streets.
Make sure
about you, bro.
Right.
Go ahead, lovely.
Get your credit.
So that he said to me one time that, you care for everyone else, but you don't care for you. I was just like, I thought I wore that badge of honor that I was a go-to person for my family. I was a go-to person for my friends. And it wasn't until like he said it again, I'm like, I don't think he's saying this as a compliment says. This is, he's trying to tell you something here. And at the time I was very angry about it, right? Like I didn't want to hear that. Like I didn't want to hear it from a negative place. But what I had realized was that I was so good at pouring cups for people, water in other people's cups, but my cup was always empty. And I wasn't okay with me. I was always running around. Like I wasn't caring for my health. I wasn't caring for my image. I wasn't caring for lovely. So I'm asking someone to love me at a level that I have never loved myself at. And I said, you know what? I ain't like how you said it to me. I ain't like how the situation was. However, you was right, I guess. And I had to take that constructive criticism, because sometimes the people that love you the closest, that intimacy, they see you. And I didn't realize like how much I didn't see me. Like he was seeing parts of me that I didn't see. And I was like, well, that's complicated. How's that happening? Well, because I wasn't taking time to love lovely. And so I went on this quest and I went on this journey, and man, I fell in love. I was like, oh, sis out here, you know, smart, she's kind. Like I am a kind person. I do serve, but like there's things that I've been doing these last couple of months that I'll take time to like rest. I take time to like step back. And it's because I've learned to love lovely. And I'm not my titles. I'm not CEO. I'm not millionaire. I'm not all these things. I'm lovely. And if every other one of those things get taken care of, I never reach them or they never happen for me, I will still be okay. And I'll be happy with who I am. And I genuinely mean that. Like I'm a joyful person. Like I wake up and I sleep in peace, no matter the obstacles. Like some of my friends are like, how are you like going through this tough season? And you're just out here like, is anything wrong? Because I trust that my journey is for me and my learnings are for me. And I'm loving me with where I am. Like I'm taking my before and after pictures, like as I'm taking like daily pictures as I'm working out and, you know, transforming my body. And every picture I went back and I noticed like, I'm smiling in all of them. Like all like, you know how most time you ever seen those before pictures and people look dreaded, they look sad, they look like miserable. But for
Yeah.
me, and it wasn't until that moment I said, lovely, you tapped in. You are making this change not to please anybody. You're making this change because you want to be better for you. And I gave myself a round of applause and said, congratulations. Now you're open to receive and to be with someone because they're not going to be your world. I belong everywhere and I belong nowhere, all at the same time. But I always belong to myself. And so, yeah, great journey.
A continuous journey.
Yeah.
So it's a continuous journey.
Process.
It's not just one thing, one day, 1 week, 1 month.
Oh no, it's definitely a process.
Yeah.
You know, but much love if you're listening. You know,
no pun intended with the name Lovely. Much
yeah,
love.
no pun intended. No pun intended. Yeah, because I think Alana said it best. Like sometimes somebody loves you for a season because that was what you needed. Yeah. And that relationship taught me so much that I can't be mad at you. Like we were younger. And to me, it was just like, oh, okay, I had to learn that. And thank you so much for that, because I'm who I am partly because of that experience. And I'm so happy that I went through it. At the time, if you would have asked me, was I happy about it? I would be like, nah. But nope, now
nobody's ever happy about it.
Yeah. But now I'm like, oh man, that was like worth its weight in gold, because I see how like I'm seeing other people go through situations where they don't know how to choose themselves outside of someone. And so sometimes they're choosing the most toxic situation because they don't realize that you will be okay. Like not having this person, you will be okay. And if they're not contributing, like love should not be painful. It shouldn't be suffering. It's like, I know that I'm not saying life is going to be perfect, but if love is literally causing you depression or you're going through something abusive, you need to question that. That's not good. And I think that starts with you loving yourself to be able to recognize like, okay, I'm in something that's very toxic. I'm in something that's not balanced. And although I love you, I love me more, that I'm able to walk away from something that no longer serves, not me, but just serves the vision and mission of my life. And that's totally fine. And we need to be okay with that. So it was a great experience retrospectively.
Yeah, you can't love out of fear. And to cap off my segment of anything, like I've also been learning how to love strangers, you know, in the sense of like people I don't even know, right? I'm part of this group called, FinCon, and they have like this segment, or somebody started this thing called Donut Buddies. So every month or so, we kind of meet up. It's kind of random as such. It's kind of like a blind date per se, like a virtual thing where different people meet up and we share. And I guess the goal is like, how can you help the other person succeed or something like that? Or something to that extent, like they're supposed to help you, you're supposed to help them. But for me, when I get in there, I don't care for anybody to help me. I just want to really listen to that person. That's always been my thing. I'm big on travel. I bring on culture. I bring on stories. So for me, listening to the other person always adds more to me and dimension. And sometimes I even try to help them with how they see themselves. So the last guy, I forget his name right now, but he had his podcast called Richer Soul. And I thought, and he's like, oh, do you know what that the title means? I'm like, yeah, it means,
Oh, I listened to him. The
something
Indian
way,
guy.
yeah. I said there was something way better than, just kind of the money and the wealth. It's like really processing the
Yeah,
person
he
you
has a
are through
good,
your
yeah.
soul. And I'm like, and he's like, oh, you got it. I'm like, yeah, I got it. Like, I'm looking at him like, yeah.
Are you talking about
Richer
Ramit
Soul.
City?
His name is, yeah, Richer Soul's podcast. Amazing podcast. He dropped that one, but it wasn't as successful. He has a second podcast that's actually a lot more successful and makes a lot more money for him. But this is the one he loves.
Oh,
That to
so
me,
Richard Soul is not his primary podcast?
he has to. Richer Soul is the first one he made. The second one, I forget what it was. I was like Profits First or something like that, where he helps businesses scale up, kind of what you're doing, Lovely. But ultimately, like I didn't talk to him about that one, but he's like, I'm gonna go check out the Richer Soul, because I think that's something that speaks to me more. And I thought even this first couple of episodes, amazing stuff out there, just quality all the way through. Ultimately, I actually met up with this other lady called Rachel Murphy recently. And her story is that she's off of North Florida Panhandle. So she's like, oh, you know that area? I'm like, yeah, I'm in Milton, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I've been around that part. Because it surprised her, because she doesn't know other people that actually know that area. So that brought her joy. And you find out she just dropped a book called I Am Not My ATM. I am not your ATM, which is basically speaking to kids, like teaching like high school kids about money, so on and so forth. And you find out about her. She has her own kids, but she also has like adopted kids. So she has like this kind of robust family. She was also like this person, her and her husband had like a telecommunication company back in the 90s, around the time of AOL. So she was actually doing that, servicing in Milton area until the business didn't work out. But then they started building a home as a family, like a second home, like in the back. Like, when you have like a space or whatever, they literally built the home over years, to the point where they kind of got it done. And one of their sons wanted to be an architect. And she's like, hey, I want to do like maybe build A-frame homes and start building other homes with a little bit of outdoor seatings and patio and stuff like that, do Airbnbs, duplexes. And I'm looking at her like, videotape that. Like, people love to see it on YouTube. So to me, I'm loving on strangers, meaning not necessarily like a physical way. That sounds kind of weird, but ultimately like thinking beyond yourself, like what can help somebody else? Like if I see somebody else messing up, like in their public speaking and see on Clubhouse, I'll even on the side say, yo, hey, a perfect thing can help you, Toastmasters. I know I'm not selling for them. I'm just telling you that it could help you change your life and change the way that you speak, and maybe cut out some of these ahs, and whatever they are. I'm always trying to figure out ways beyond myself to impact the world by showing love to the world, because I already feel loved all the time. So I want other people to feel love too. And I guess that's kind of what, to bring it full circle, all this conversation, name dropping these people, Richer Souls, like, the other book, hey, I am not your ATM, just dropping that out there. They ain't paying me, no sponsorships.
Yeah, his other podcast is called the Profit Instrument.
Yeah, he's actually really very popular with it as well. Like he has a long, like you could tell the kind of person he is. Like he reads a lot, very pensive, very deep, thought-provoking, and this guy's a cool guy. I'm like, oh, these are the kind of people we need to know of more. You need to reach out and get to know strangers that really gonna feed into yourself and change your life overall. And I guess this is what this entire episode has been all about: finding a different way to love ourselves, love the people around us, and even love strangers.
Stop listening to toxic stuff on social media.
Yeah, especially people that never been in it. Like they ain't in relationships, they ain't whatever. Listening to people that never started a business about businesses makes no sense. Like none of it makes sense.
There's a world outside. Just tap into that.
With that being said, guys, thanks again for joining us for the Financial Griot. As always, you can find us on these interwebs. We're on all the podcast streets, and please give us a like, share, and subscribe. You can find Atlanta on her YouTube channel. It's always out there. Google us, you will find us. You can find Lovely out there in these streets teaching small businesses how to scale up, because we want to make sure that you're not just a 5-figure business. We want to make sure that you scale up to a 6 or 7-figure business and really start taking some wealth home with you. You can find me on the neighborhoodfinanceguy.com, where I dish out everything financial literacy, investments, budgeting, wealth building strategies, so on and so forth, because this conversation is the Financial Griot, but you will find all the notes on the Neighborhood Finance Guide, where we deep dive into everything that you need to know, even book reviews, even book recommendations that's going to change your life and change your wealth. It's not just about being toxic and crazy in these streets, guys. You need to, change and heal your life.
Yeah, Jamie, out.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.